find out. First up this week, we go for the Danish modern look while constructing a city in Copenhagen. Next up, we head to Tuscany to design the perfect vineyard in Viticulture. And lastly, we travel north for a game of combat and survival in Arctic Scavengers. I'm your host, Celeste Angeles, here with my decades-long gaming buddies, Evan Bernstein.
Hello, everyone.
Ed Povolitis. And Mike Grenier.
Yabba dabba doo!
Our first game up this week is Copenhagen, designed by Asger Harding Grenier and Daniel Skjold Peterson. How'd I do, Mike?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Published by Queen Games in 2019. Number of players 2 to 4, ages 8 and up. Playtime 20 to 40 minutes. Okay, Mikey, tell us what's in this box.
The cover of the box shows the colorful and inviting cityscape of Copenhagen, complete with towers, spires, domes, and lots of windows. Inside, you'll find 46 Tetris-esque tiles, 20 modification tiles, 4 player boards, and 4 wooden pawns, as well as a scoring plaque with a side for like storing the cards and a large stack of building goal cards. And that's what's in the box.
Well, before we tell you how well we coped with this game, Evan, please piece together some rules for us.
Copenhagen, or Copenhagen if you prefer. It's a card and tile placement game where you are designing the latest and greatest building in the famous Danish city. Players in turn will either draw 2 cards from the 6 available face-up cards, or they will trade in cards from their hand to take and place the building tiles. The tiles, as Mike said, are Tetris-shaped. To score points, you're going to complete rows and columns. And to gain bonuses, you can complete your rows and columns with all windows. Simple. First player to 12 points wins, or if the Lone Mermaid card is drawn, the game stops and the highest score wins. And the winner receives title to a new building in Copenhagen, which is guaranteed, and this is not a guarantee.
So, no guarantees. Disclaimer. Nice disclaimer, Ev.
Yeah, well, I checked it with legal first before I ran that. They said you had to put that in.
Why else would we have them on retainer, right? For moments like this.
And Joe says hi, everyone.
Oh, yeah. Coincidentally. Yeah.
Well, we played this game on Board Game Arena. Mm-hmm. And what did we think of the look of the game? I want to talk about both the physical game and the on Board Game Arena. So how did it look on Board Game Arena?
Anybody?
Well, I'll describe it as clean. It's straightforward. The colors are vibrant, so there's no, there wasn't any confusion. There weren't muted tones that like, okay, what color is this versus that? Mm-hmm. Obviously, the shapes of the Tetris tiles, give it that structured look. So it's a very clean-looking game in my estimation.
I agree with that. I think the pieces, too, like, even though we didn't play the tabletop version, looking at the pictures in the box, they look like pretty thick and chunky, like good.
Yeah, what attracted my eye was acrylic tile. I kind of wanted to play with that to see what that would be. Of course, I think that's the deluxe edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original edition definitely looks like it has cardboard pieces, although they do, as Mike said, look chunky. I love Tetris placing games, and there's a lot of them out there now. Mm-hmm. I just really like manipulating the pieces. Did it feel like there was enough opportunity? Because it looks like kind of a small board. So did you feel like there was enough opportunity to manipulate pieces? There's so many cards versus pieces.
One of the things I like about this Tetris laying game is that actually it required you to build from the bottom up, unlike just some of the tile laying games where you're just putting them anywhere on the map and then you're trying to just fill in spaces. Here, you
like
had
City.
to build up. And I think that was, made it feel a little more Tetris-y to me.
I feel like, in my opinion, though, if there was a little bit less Tetrisiness, because, like, fitting the actual pieces together wasn't as important as stacking the windows with each other. So sometimes you would want to lay a piece that would look kind of terrible in a regular Tetris game, but
janky.
it would work really well. Yeah, it looked really janky and So
Yeah,
and I like
so
the clean symmetry stuff. So
So as you said, Evan, the goal is to have as many windows as possible, or to have the windows lined up.
Yes, lined up in both columns and rows. Bonus points for completing entire rows and columns of windows, which is easier said than done. At least that's what I found.
Yeah.
You have to have the right color or the right card combination to get the correct shaped tile that you're looking for. Not all colors have the same shapes, if you understand what I mean. So a four space yellow is not the same design as the 4-space blue. So you have to be conscious of your colors as well as the actual shapes that you're going for in order to achieve what it is you're looking to do.
As well as the bonus points from doing the windows, and I know I was trying to do that too, get yay, bonus points. You're also trying to get different size areas of color. So you're fighting both, because you're not. Now, the piece you need to get the color grouping you want might not have the windows you need to do the perfect row. And that was so painful. It was like,
that was painful.
I want this, but it's missing one little window. One more window.
There's also, unlike Tetris, there's like, instead of just 4 pieces for each one, there's 3, 2, and 5 even shaped pieces in there. So there's some pieces you're not quite used to seeing in regular Tetris, and it might throw your brain off if you played too much Tetris.
It's true.
And the pieces definitely force you to make choices, because you'll notice all of the pieces are missing a window somewhere.
That's right.
Right. Okay. Yes. So there's never a piece with all windows.
Right.
Correct.
So it's always going to leave you a spot that you're going to have to work around.
Right. Inefficiency.
Yeah. It definitely makes some pieces more desirable to have face up, and then other ones to be like laid sideways, just because of the way they stack.
Now, there are special spots on your board. If you cover those spots specifically or complete a row that contains a special symbol, you get bonuses. And the bonuses could be, just extra point configurations that get unlocked for you, or the individual single window spots, which are great for filling in that one perfect spot you need, which is otherwise blocked by all your other pieces.
Now, Ed, you say that it's a race for points. Do you mean that points go away once somebody gets them? Or
Well, I mean, it's the first to get 12. It's like, you got 12 points, you win.
I gotcha.
But also, there's limited shapes. You know what I mean? Like certain shapes and certain window configurations are limited. So 2 people get one, and that's it. There's no more for that one in some cases.
Yep.
So. Yep, it is a race to get the right piece, but also you kind of have to plan ahead a little bit. You know, you don't want to just take a piece because it's the last one. I mean, it might not be super helpful to you at the moment. So there's a lot of couple turns ahead planning to get those bonus points.
But if it's going to prevent Ed from scoring 7 extra points, I may just suck it up, take that one tile away from him, and say, no, sir, not today, sir.
That is a tough but necessary decision that needs to be made sometimes, how to block Ed from stealing all the points.
I don't know how necessary it is, honestly.
Ed disagrees.
Yeah.
Shocker.
So how did the playtime feel? Did it feel like the right amount of playtime? Now, on Board Game Arena, it's going to do the scoring for you, and also some of the organizational pieces, so it may speed it up quite a bit. But how did it feel for pacing?
It didn't. I mean, it didn't seem like it took too long, but it was the same activity for most of the game, so I think it could have been a little shorter.
I think the Board Game Arena really helps it in the sense you don't have any of the fiddling. Well, you have a little bit of the interface, just figuring out how to rotate it just right in a little bit. But I think once you get past that, it puts everything on display for you. You don't have to organize them. You just go click, click, next. I can see it being fairly fast if you know the game well.
Okay, explorers.
Our first playthrough, sometimes we fumble around a little bit.
Sometimes. We're guilty.
Yeah, like all the time.
Yes.
Okay, explorers, it's time to dig up or bury Copenhagen. Mike?
Even though this game is kind of more going on than a regular Tetris game, I felt somehow it was less replayable for me than Tetris. Each game's going to be different, I think, but I didn't really feel an escalation of the excitement in this game. It just kind of stayed level the whole time for me, so I have to bury it.
Evan?
I thought Copenhagen was easy to learn and it was easy to play. It was a pretty good gateway game for tile building games. Simple. Not terribly dynamic, but I still had fun, so I'll dig it up.
Ed?
Copenhagen is an easy game to learn and play. Maybe not exactly a super exciting thing, but the race for the points keep your eyes on what the other opponents are doing. And I'll dig this up as a easy tile laying game.
Well, if you have thoughts about Copenhagen or you want to let us know what your favorite city-based game is, we would love to hear from you. We are at Which Game First on all social media and Discord. Hey, everybody, what is going on with Which Game First?
Thursday nights, Which Game First plays live on all of our... yes, we are live. We're playing games Thursday nights, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. That's Eastern United States. And we're inviting you to come and watch and participate and give us helpful hints. And we have trivia and we do a lot of audience interaction during that recording. And it's usually the first time we're playing a game, so we're fumbling around in the dark a little bit so you can watch us sort of and have fun with us as we work our way through new games. Thursday nights, Which Game First, 7 o'clock Eastern Time.
Yeah, we need those helpful hints.
And,
I know I do.
And after Thursday, a couple of our patrons who were watching liked one of the games we were playing, and they invited us to play a game with them online. So you know what? We started a game. Even though I haven't clicked my first move yet, I am ready to get it rolling. So if you are a patron and you want to play...
It's your turn, Mikey.
I know. It's going to be super spar hawking now, a day-long spar hawk. But yeah, we're down to play some games with our patrons. So if you guys listen and come and check us out Thursday night, suggest a game that we played that you wanted to beat us at, I'm up for it. Let's do it.
And I have another invitation for our patrons and for our general audience. We would love to hear from you on this one. Which Game First is going to PAX Unplugged this year? It's going to be in December. And we are just starting to noodle our panels. If you have a suggestion as to what type of panel we should run, we would love to hear from you about it. So let us know on Discord. Join our Discord channel. If you have any questions about how to do that, shoot us a contact through our website or anything else. But I believe right on our website, you can click on Discord and join our channels. We're there all the time. We'd love to hear from you there or through social media, Instagram, DM us, however you want to do it. We'd love to hear your panel ideas for PAX Unplugged.
Yeah, Unplugged.
Yes. Can't wait.
Plug in the unplugged.
Thanks for listening, everybody. On to the next game.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Our next game up this week is Viticulture Essential Edition, designed by Jamie Stegmaier and Alan Stone, published by Stonemaier Games in 2013. Number of players 1 to 6, ages 14 and up. Playtime 45 to 90 minutes. Okay, Mikey, tell us what's in the lovely box.
All right. On the cover of the box, 2 contented vintners gaze upon their latest crop of luscious grapes in front of their lush and thriving vineyard. All right, hold on to your baskets here, guys, because there's a lot of stuff in here.
All right. I'll get comfortable.
Get cozy. Inside the box, we find a game board, 6 vineyard mats, 42 vine cards, 36 wine order cards, 38 summer visitor cards, 38 winter visitor cards, 18 field cards, 24 automa cards, 36 pink and blue cards, 30 wooden worker meeples, 6 wooden grande worker meeples, grande, 48 glass grape and wine tokens, 6 wooden wake-up tokens, 6 wooden victory point tokens, 6 wooden residual payment tokens, 48 wooden structure tokens, 72 cardboard lira, and a first player token. Oh. And that's what's in the box.
Well, before we tell you if this game turned out to be vintage or just sour grapes, Evan, give us a sip of the rules.
All right. In Viticulture, the players find themselves in the roles of people in rustic, pre-modern Tuscany who have inherited meager vineyards. And they have a few plots of land, an old crush pad, a tiny cellar, and 3 workers. Each player has a dream of being the first to call their winery a true success. So this is a worker placement game. There are 4 seasons in the game, each with its own feature which will either open up or limit the types of tasks that the workers can perform. The middle spaces of each action confer a bonus for that worker. Those are popular spaces, trust me. And as Mike mentioned, each player gets a grande worker who can take a space even if it's occupied by another player. Very important. Workers are placed accordingly on the game board, but you also have a personal vineyard board. This vineyard board is where you will make upgrades and improvements to your vineyard. There are 3 types of cards in the game: wine order cards, visitor cards, and vine cards. Visitors are split into summer visitors and winter visitors. Remember, it's about the seasons in this game. We're going to talk more about the rules as we go forward, but I'll tell you this. The first player to 20 victory points triggers the end of the game, and after all final actions are resolved, the player with the most points wins. And you win. When you win in the world of wine games, you have to say you crushed it.
Thank you. Crushed it. I like that.
I think you can say that another time too, but yeah.
Yeah, this is the most appropriate.
With
you
wine,
crushed it. Yeah.
With wine games, you crushed it.
Yeah.
Well, now I know that we have a physical version of this game, but we also played it on Board Game Arena. Evan, how do you think it looked on BGA?
Great. Yeah, this is a good-looking game, I think, either way. And even though I didn't play the one in person, Ed, I know you've got the copy of the physical game. I thought it's one of the better-looking games on Board Game Arena overall.
Oh,
definitely
wow.
very representative of the board game. Translates very well to Board Game Arena.
Yes.
Yeah, BGA does a really good job of representing. They have the right shaped pieces. They got the graphics. I imagine the graphics are coming from the publishers, and it does feel like, since it's a worker placement, you are putting little, worker pieces on the digital board and taking the actions, and you're seeing all the little tracks move, and you have little cards. So yeah, I have the physical version, and I do prefer that, but it's pretty good on BGA.
Yeah, definitely takes some of the fiddle out of it. That's because it could be a little messy in person. And I think when I played it a long time ago, I remember there being a good amount of bits on the board. But it took care of where you can place things and the mess itself on BGA, which is great.
Now let's talk about the grande worker. All right, so this concept, the grande worker, is it's a general concept in Eurogaming, right, Ed? I've seen it in other games. The grande worker, Mike?
Yeah, no, I've seen the grande worker in a couple games before too. I kind of wonder, like, like, I know that it's just a mechanism to be able to take the space, but like, who is this grande worker? Who is this guy? He shows up and everybody gets out of his way.
Is he a bully?
Yeah, is he a bully? Is he big and strong, or is he just have a lot of influence in the community? Like, who is this grande?
Mercenary that you hire or something,
right?
Professional.
I'm here to crush grapes. You got anything to say about that?
No, he's the VIP. He has the all access badge.
Yeah, right. VIP badge, right, for the winery. Yeah, no, it is a good. It's mechanically, it's very useful to have something like that, so people don't get completely shut out.
I almost always save him for last, just in case in case I get blocked out of something, I want to have him to be able to do that thing that Mikey took from me.
Yep.
Now, does this grande? I've seen grande workers work in 2 ways. They either sit with the other workers on the piece, or they kick everybody out. Did this one kick everybody out? All the other workers off the...
This one's shared, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It can simply occupy a space that's already been chosen by another worker.
All right, so
we'll
not a total jerk.
Yeah,
No.
we'll call this the charismatic grande. Someone will be the bully will kick him out, and then this one will be the charismatic. It shares the space.
So, Mike, I saw that you thought that the opportunity to make high-value wines was tempting. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's part of the problem with that is that you got to wait to see like different orders that you might be able to make that have a higher value on them, but like there's quite a range of what you could make, and well, you're kind of one of the functions of the game and what you're doing is that you're letting your wines like age a little bit, and then those wines are more valuable for bigger contracts. You know, what I mean? So you're selling them later, and you got to be careful. You know, you don't want to let them go too far. It's not that they turn to vinegar or something, but like you lose a lot of time waiting for those wines to mature.
Right. There's only so much time in the game, so that's tempting. But just by doing nothing, the wines get better.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that I got trapped for sure.
Ooh, so this game requires patience. Yeah, I'm kind of glad I didn't get a chance to play then.
You weren't even invited, Celeste.
That's a little bit of the push-pull there, where you can try to churn through lots of wine and get lots of small victory point cards, or you can try to build up and get the mega point by trying to get that one big valuable wine victory point card.
It's tough.
It's going to depend a little bit on the card you have in hand.
So that talks to Evan's point of quantity versus quality. Is that right, Ev?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Tough choices?
The choices are really good in this game. You can approach this multiple different ways. And something I think I lacked in my strategy, and when I go back and play it again, hopefully, I'll try it, is to improve my vineyard more, to get it to just a higher production and higher quality level, in which the wines that I'm putting out, I'm going to be able to actually sell for a higher price. I don't think I paid enough attention to the quality of of improving my vineyards enough to get to a point where I could keep up with Mikey and Ed. But it was my first time playing, so you learn these things first time through, and then all right, now I understand what really has to be done.
And I kind of go ahead, Ed. Sorry.
No, sorry. It's there's also not only is it the quality of wines you have to pay attention to, but the types of grapes. You can plant, the red grapes or the white grapes, and you can make red wine.
Who would plant white
wine
grapes?
or rosé, the mixtures, and it's going to depend on what cards you have, which ones you want to go for, and the wines that require that you have both are going to be more work to make. You're going to have to grow two types of wine. And you have to put them together and age them all, but there's more point behind them.
True. There's one thing I want to say about this game in particular, but also other games that kind of follow in its footsteps, is that there are certain things that you can't do until you do some things before them. So, for example, you can't make wine until you have grapes. You can't have grapes until you have the field. You know what I mean? So when the cards come up through randomness, even if everybody's on the same, equal footing to start with, sometimes your draw is just bad. You have winter actions in your hand, and it doesn't allow you to do the summer actions, which leads you to do the winter actions. So there's a lot of more luck of the draw in this game, even though we're all drawing from the same deck.
But you do have a little bit of way to control that. You can take action to draw specifically summer cards or winter cards.
Yes.
Yep.
And you start off with one of each, and then you're going to have to, do I want more summer stuff, or do I want more winter stuff? So you have a little bit of choice which way you want to go.
True.
So, Mike, you say this game is tight.
It's tight. The resources are tight because there's a lot of things you have to choose between doing. It's not just like pick grapes and now it's like step 3 profit. You have to use you have to get the most action economy you can in this game because you got to plant them, grow them, pick them, brew them, so so you have to choose wisely and pick your battles, because I ended up having an amazing set of potential wines, but I didn't have any customers to buy them at the very last turn.
Yeah, seasonal customers too. Yeah. I know.
I mean, I was set up to make a fortune in the last turn, and Ed was like, let's just shut it down, as he often does to me. He sees the future and he goes, nope, this is not going to work. If I wait one more turn, it's going to be a wrap. So.
Ed, how dare you pay attention?
Yeah, he is on to you, Mike. You're going to have to change up your strategy.
I mean, it works half the time. That's why I don't change it. Sometimes it works, but it really hurts. When it works, I like blow out the score. When it doesn't work, it looks like I did absolutely nothing for the entire game.
Okay, explorers, it's time to dig up or bury viticulture. Ed?
I enjoy worker placement games while making wine your impress your critics. I'll dig this up as a nicely aged wine with hints of sage and almonds.
Sage.
Evan?
Viticulture, it checks all the worker placement game boxes. And I like the twist about the seasons and the seasonal visitors specifically. It really helps dictate a plan that you're going to go forward with. But there's still plenty of paths to take to victory. I raise a glass to this one. Dig it up.
Mike?
This game gave me some opportunities to make big, epic scores. There's a touch of luck of the draw and tightness that I don't love generally. But I think I would put the squeeze on this game one more time. Dig it up.
Well, we'd like to know what wine you prefer with board gaming. Or what board games featuring wine you like. Let us know. We are at Which Game First on all social media. Our last game up this week is Arctic Scavengers, designed by Robert K. Gabhart, published by Rio Grande Games in 2009. Number of players 2 to 5, ages 12 and up. Playtime 45 to 60 minutes. Mike, tell us what's in the chili box.
On the cover of the box, an ice ninja sits menacingly among his scattered horde of deadly weapons and tools in a shattered, post-apocalyptic Arctic ruin. Inside, we discover a junkyard mat, a contested resources mat, an initiator card, 147 playing cards, as well as an expansion of 49 additional cards, an engineering schematics mat, and a storage cover. And that's what's in the box.
Well, before we tell you if this game gave us the chills, Evan, thaw out some rules.
Arctic Scavengers is a competitive deck-building game where you are in a struggle for survival in a futuristic, post-apocalyptic ice age. Fun. Everyone draws 5 cards from their starting deck. Then you play cards for the following actions: draw, dig, hunt, and hire. And players can play as many cards as they want, but only one type of card or one type of action per turn. Discard a card after it's used up. There are 2 main types of cards: people and tools. Now, if you have any unplayed cards, you hold those for the skirmish round. In the skirmish round, you're going to compare the total values of the cards that you kept in your hand, and the winner gets a resource card added to your discard pile, which you'll eventually shuffle in and make use of as the game goes on. That's it. Players with the largest tribe at the end is the lone survivor, and they get to live in paradise all alone in a world grown cold.
Frosty paradise.
Yeah, kind of a...
Yay. Okay, so you played this on Board Game Arena. One of the things about Board Game Arena that I noticed is games that feature cards, the cards can sometimes get lost. Even though they're Board Game Arena is very loyal to the actual artwork, it still feels sometimes like you're not really experiencing the cards. What did you guys think?
I mean, post-apocalyptic looking cards and stuff, I often feel like it's hard for them to really differentiate from each other a little bit. You know, it's because the color scheme is so muted that everything starts looking the same.
They did have the utility, at least, of, I can just look at the edge and see all the symbols there. And if you're just looking for symbols, just looking for the facts, you can find the facts.
That's true. That is nicely laid out.
Yeah. Because some of the cards in this I actually like, right? And you're right, Mike. Post-apocalypse cards can start to look a little depressing, if nothing else, right?
Oh,
Yeah, true.
But I actually like, when I'm looking at the physical cards, I do like the artwork on the cards. They look well drawn, and actually that they tell a story.
Yeah.
Like there's a picture of a guy laying in wait, an archer laying in wait to snipe somebody, and some people getting ready to, looks like maybe ghost spelunking or try to find something, somebody climbing a rope. So it's all action based, and they're interesting to me.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I wonder if the physical game might have provided a little bit more excitement in that regard.
Yeah, I thought, I think you're spot on with that, Celeste. There is at least enough to let you tell your story about what's happening in this post-apocalyptic world. So they did a good job with that as best they could, I think.
Okay. So, Ed, you say this game has a lot of fighting for the loot. What do you mean?
Yes, there's that hidden pile of stuff. And it can have the best cards or just okay cards in there.
Yeah.
And you have to make a decision. Am I going to spend the resources I have to get these things I can just buy? Or do I secretly send some of these things out on a mission to fight with the other players to get the secret loot pile?
That's the skirmish.
And it's kind of a grim loser situation where I can spend all those resources, but if Mikey spent one more than me, all those resources are for naught.
Yep. Absolutely. Grim Losers auction right there.
And at the beginning of the game, because we're all obviously starting with the same starter deck, you can kind of get a sense, okay, here's what he played, here's what he's got in his hand. I have a good gauge as to whether or not I can win that skirmish round or not. But you get a couple rounds into this game and the deck starts changing and stuff, you quickly sort of lose. You can't keep track of that anymore.
Yep.
So does it benefit you to just be flexible, wait your turn, and see what you've got at that moment? Does it limit planning ahead?
It's like any other deck builder. You got to deal with the hand you've been dealt. So you can't, you can plan ahead in the early game, especially if you've built your deck in a certain way that you have an idea of what's going to still be coming. Because an important thing that happens in this game, and I can't stress this enough, it's so important that you can actually get rid of some of your cards without having to have a special card to do it with. You can thin your deck out, so you can.
I was just
really
going to ask about that.
Oh yeah, you can keep thinning it. So it gives you the opportunity to know exactly what cards are going to be left in your deck and what potential draws you're going to have. So you should definitely, you can't make it too thin or you'll just be throwing away all your victory points and all the cards that can actually do stuff. But if you keep just the right amount, looking at what's on the table available to buy and, make it so that you can go through most of that deck. I got to a point where I didn't have to plan at all. I was drawing my entire deck every turn.
Yeah.
So,
and there's also an advantage to being the last player in turn order, where you can see how many resources, or at least how many cards people put towards getting the loot pile. And if you're like, well, no, Mikey just said, and Evan put one card towards it, maybe I have a chance of fighting it.
Yeah, and the cards in that deck are similar to the cards that you play in your normal starting cards or the ones you buy, but almost all of them are superior to their other versions of them. Yeah. So it's worth winning them.
And I noticed,
it is. And I'm afraid it might get into a little bit of a runaway situation where if one person has been constantly winning the loot battle, all their cards are better because they got better versions of the cards in there. There's more victory points in there. And you don't necessarily even know what they won.
Right. You don't know what they got because it was hidden. So,
yeah.
Well, I noticed there's a lot of symbology on the cards. Was it, but they seemed relatively clear. Was it okay to manage?
I thought for the most part the symbology worked, except I can't remember exactly which one it was, but there was one symbol that meant one thing in one spot and a similar symbol, which kind of meant something similar but not the same in another spot. It was like dig and fight or something. It was like a crossed shovel and sword or something like that, or gun. And yeah, that was the only one that kind of tripped me up a little bit. But for the most part, there's only a few symbols you need to know, and they all refer to the stage of your turn that you're on. So like the shovel is for digging into the trash pile, which is cards that aren't necessarily great, but there are victory points like splashed into there, and it's kind of something that you can do for free if you have a bunch of shovel cards laying around. Personally, I avoided that pile like the plague because I was trying to keep a nice tight deck. But
yeah,
it
sounds like I would avoid that one too.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the purpose of it? What do you think? What would be the strategy where you'd be using that?
There's some decent stuff in there, and nobody knows what you're getting out of there. So it's a way to trick your opponents and get a couple points that they don't know about. Splashing through your deck.
That could be a way to get an early medic point where you can't buy.
Yeah,
that's true too.
Right.
There are sometimes you find junk, but sometimes hey, there's a first aid kit, and I wasn't able to buy that straight up. So now next time around, I can use that first aid kit I dug up to get something people wouldn't expect.
Is there a game in all of history, right, where the first aid kit isn't the most awesome thing ever?
Right?
Like, it is always something that everybody is excited.
Everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in a survival game.
I know,
like,
right?
What?
Yeah, because the first aid kit represents kind of like a doctor character for the most part, So that's one of the most. I mean, when you think about what they value in this game, it's eating food. So like hunting and having a doctor, and then having the back to shovel through the trash to find something good. So scavenging. You know what I mean? Those three things I thought were a good representation of what you'd be doing during the post-apocalyptic times.
Yeah. I mean, it's not called Arctic Loafers.
That's right.
Right. Yeah, there's no television button. There's no,
Yeah, Arctic Amazon shopping.
Yeah. Arctic deliveries.
Yeah.
Okay, explorers, it's time to dig up or bury Arctic scavengers. Evan?
Arctic Scavengers. For me, it wasn't quite an introductory level deck builder game, probably more moderate. At the same time, I caught on quickly. And so I think the learning curve is accessible. The theme of survivalism is very good. Lots of replayability here. And we didn't even touch the expansion rules. We just went with the basics. So I'm looking forward to that someday. All good. Dig it up.
Mike?
I was definitely in my element here. I mean, this deck builder allowed me to customize my strategy right from the beginning of the game. It offered me a variety of different strategic choices. And, of course, I love deck builders just on their face. So, it was fun times for me. I dig it up.
Ed?
Arctic Scavengers takes your classic deck builder and adds some nice twist to it by adding new kinds of currency for acquiring cards. And you also have that skirmish for the highly sought-after loot cards in the middle. Maybe that can lead to a runaway leader situation, but it does make the game more interactive than most deck builders. So I'll dig this up to try to survive in those Arctic wasteland one more time.
Well, what was the most interesting game mechanic you have seen in a deck builder? We really want to know. Maybe we'll talk about deck builders on our panels.
Oh my
I would
gosh.
love that. Let's do it.
12-part
I know
series.
you would. Let us know. We are at Which Game First on all social media. And that brings us to the end of our show. We look forward to hearing from you. Please give us a shout out on any social media or Discord. We're there all the time, every day. Come and talk to us. And if you have time, please leave us a like, a rating, a review anywhere on any podcatcher. Anywhere we're talked about, we would love it. And it would really help other people find the show, grow. If we grow, that means we can keep doing the show and you get more episodes. And if you want to become a patron of this show, you will get access to our exclusive patron-only podcast called
Bonus points.
Just go to our website and click on Become a Patron today. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
In the Arctic, no one can hear you freeze.
This port had just the right hint of nutmeg to play a game of deck building.
The frozen north is mine. All right, stop in